Hello, Eric Kelly. How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you?
Excellent. Happy afternoon to you. Happy day to everybody that's watching. We appreciate the opportunity to come share information during this turbulent time and hopefully turn some frowns upside down because there's a lot of heaven knows there's a lot of information. Is any of it any good? That's what we're going to find out here. We're going to find out what information is good, and let's see if we can set some people straight on this.
Yeah, I'm excited to do that. I'm excited to be here today. I think this is an important topic. Before we begin, I just want to be clear. I'm not providing legal advice. I'm providing suggestions for strategies or considerations or conversations that we can have, but I'm in no way condoning how someone chooses to do their business. My goal today, though, is to help educate and inform our peers and our partners in the industry, our collaborators, our co-opetition, as industry professionals so that we can continue to elevate our game. And one of the things that I think is always an opportunity in times of transition is the need for leadership. And so I appreciate everyone that's joining in today that are the leaders of our industry, that are looking to be well informed, but also be a positive influence. I think that a lot of fear and uncertainty and anxiety is derived from not knowing or not having clarity or not being prepared for any impending change that may be coming. And so that's really the purpose of today, is to just collectively have a dialogue around that. I'm going to highlight a few things regarding the NAR settlement, regarding how that impacts our business, and we'll share a few resources that we have. But the goal today is that everybody leaves with a little more clear understanding of what's already underway, at least in Arizona, because changes took place August 1st, and where we're going to go from here and how we need to adapt our business and our conversations with our clients in order to be compliant and in order to honor our fiduciary responsibility at the highest level.
Excellent. Excellent. And I like the little disclaimer. You know what? We all have brokers. We need to make sure we communicate with our brokers. And if your broker says something that we're saying differently, trust your broker, because that's their job to give you the best information.
Yes, that's true. The other thing that I'll say regarding this, pretty significant change. So we're substantially changing the practices of business in our industry that have been in existence for decades. And that's a monumental change in any industry. And it's not an insurmountable change. It's just a change. And so there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. There's a need for us to adjust our systems and strategies. There's a need for us to adopt some new language around conversations and to establish some clear boundaries and understanding of what we can and cannot do going forward in order to remain in compliance. And so, number one, I have always held in the highest sense the level of responsibility that we hold to our clients. This is one of the largest financial transactions most people will ever be involved in their entire lifetime. And we're also fulfilling a very important role in a key life chapter of their journey. Maybe it's their first home. Maybe it's the home they're going to raise their family in. Maybe it's their dream home or their retirement home. Maybe they're relocating from out of state and it's a whole new transition for their family. All those things are huge milestone moments in all of our lives as human beings. And so I think we need to be conscious of that at the forefront, and what the logistics are of our industry requirements or compliance requirements in a new landscape is irrelevant to the consumer. And so we need to be good advocates. We need to be proactive communicators. We need to be good question askers and listeners, and we need to set appropriate expectations up front. And that's going to avoid a lot of drama, any conflict, anything that's unclear. And most importantly, it's going to avoid us as real estate professionals from getting in hot water.
You're absolutely right. And right now is the time of all times to be expert communicators. We have a new set of rules. Heaven knows that the news is littered. I mean, the people who don't know the real estate industry are there's littered with misinformation. Heaven
Yeah.
knows now there's misinformation within the ranks. We need to be expert communicators like we've never been before.
I totally agree, Tommy. And I think that there's a lot of ambiguity. There always has been around how we're compensated as real estate professionals. I have written that out on a blank piece of paper dozens and dozens and dozens of times over the years to try and bring absolute clarity in a visual way to clients when we sat down and explained compensation. The key change that's a cornerstone of this whole lawsuit and NAR settlement is broker to broker compensation. It's that a listing agent charging a specific fee, which again is always negotiable, and offering a fee, which again was always negotiable, to an agent representing the buyer was somehow a disservice to the consumer. Now, I have my own personal opinions about how much this serves or doesn't serve the consumers going forward.
Right.
But that's not a conversation for today. And honestly, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's done. It's a done. We're in the soup. Now we got to figure out what kind of crackers are going to go along with it. Do we want cornbread? We've got to solve this problem. You're right.
We've got to solve the problem. And
Bigger
so our
brains
job
are above us. This is somebody else made this a mess. Now we got to deal with it.
Right. And so with new rules and new compliance standards, what's going to come is the risk of violating those. And so just on the front end, I just want to give people as a point of reference an idea about risks. If you're alluding to compensation, for example, in the multiple listing service, there are some pretty stiff penalties for that. In Arizona, according to the Arizona Regional MLS, and check your state, because that's one of the other things that makes it really, really difficult is that every state potentially has different rules and regulations, and every board, which there's 600 plus MLSs around the country, different rules and regulations. Now, the general nature of them might be similar, but there could be different nuances. So every single agent needs to do their homework on exactly what the requirements of their MLS are, of their state, and any specific brokerage requirements that they might have. So I see you brought up, Tommy, section 10 there. And so this is where it starts, is with showings, because no longer can you go show a property, right? So this could be somebody that calls on a sign. This could be somebody that calls from an internet lead. This could be somebody that you meet in an open house that wants to get together later and go see another property. You can't go show them the property without having documentation in place. They have to have a signed agreement. Now, it can be a single property agreement, or you could do a complete buyer consultation, at which point we would present an employment agreement, a buyer broker agreement, as it's traditionally been called. But without that in writing, where we've disclosed exactly what our roles and responsibilities are as a professional agent, we've set expectations for what the buyer's or client's commitment is as part of this agreement. And we very, very clearly define what the compensation is and explain how that works. Until we have that in place, we can't go show them a property.
And this, I mean, look at this. Look at they are pulling no punches here. No punches pulled.
Yeah.
I mean, what, first offense, $500 automatic penalty, first offense not waived.
Right. And then subsequent offense. So
10x it. They're taking a 10x it.
Yeah, $5,000 to $15,000, $5,000 minimum fine, $15,000 maximum, 30-day suspension from the MLS, up to a year suspension. So this is no joke. This isn't going to be trial and error for real estate agents. You need to have your process dialed. You need to understand what's going on. We'll share some resources that can be helpful. But again, go to your local board, go to your broker, Make sure you clearly understand exactly the conversations you need to have and the paperwork that you need to have in order before you show homes. So now let's talk about commissions and bonus. Scroll down a little bit there, 11.5 and 12.1.
Okay.
Okay.
11.5. Oh, there we go.
It used to be back in the day, like a week ago, you could offer an agent bonus. This was common with new construction, for example. This was common in remarks where a property might be on the market for a little bit, and agents would say, hey, if we have an offer by this date, which was usually based on the seller's motivation, we'll pay X dollars of bonus. Some bonus was being offered. Can't do that anymore. So make sure if you have existing listings, make sure those are cleaned up and cleared up, and that you don't have that, because the penalties are stiff. There are a number of other requirements. This is online. This is the Arizona Regional MLS. If you Google it in your area, if you're not local in Arizona, you will find the same thing online, I would hope. And then if you want some additional resources, EXP has taken a very proactive approach on this. I'm not trying to pitch our company, but I am very proud of our company because they took a very strong leadership stance for people that want to review for reference the documents that we created, which, by the way, have been praised in national media by the CFA because of their clarity. Here was the reason, this was the motivation that the toolkit was created for agents. Because as of last week, so within 3 weeks of these sweeping changes in our industry on August 17th, over half the states did not have documents created or clear-cut documents created for agents to use. So is that really equipping us as an industry? Is that really equipping us as a membership base of our local boards, of the MLSs, to be successful and to do the best job that we can in representing the clients that we represent? So this was the motivation for EXP to do this. The reason that they've gotten praise for it is, from the agent perspective, it's very clearly defined. It's very clearly articulated what our role is, what our responsibilities are, our commitment to the clients that we serve, and how we're going to be compensated for it. Crystal clear. From the client side, the beautiful thing is, unlike some of the documents that have been circulated out in the industry with the revisions, a client isn't going to need to take this to their attorney. It's written in plain English. It's straightforward. And it's an opportunity to be able to sit down and communicate very clearly what expectations we're going to have of each other and how we're going to work together. So I like the simplicity of it. This resource is available to anybody, any company, anywhere across the industry. If you can find it as a helpful resource, if it gives you a reference point, if you want to take and use these forms, you don't have to be a member of our company to do that. If you're going to do that, I would make sure you have your broker's blessing on it to do that. If you are not with EXP, but they're available to anyone. They're open sourced. They're available to be a benefit and to help navigate through this transition time. So let's jump into, we talked a little bit about the listing side of things. So no longer agent compensation can be offered in listings. Agents are going to call and ask about that. And our position on it is encourage them to submit an offer. The seller's open to entertaining offers. Please put the offer terms in the offer, put them in writing. And then based on that, we will respond. Because ultimately, if you think about it, what a buyer's interested in is how much out of pocket is it going to take them to get the house that they want. Understood. And they may have some sensitivity to price based on their experience in surveying the market and their general opinion about the specific value of an individual property. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what a buyer is typically looking at is, do do I feel like the price is reasonable for the market? Can I afford the payment? And how much do I need to bring to closing? On the other side, you've got a seller, and what the seller is typically looking at is, how much do I leave the closing table with? They're looking at the same things. Do I feel like the price offered is reasonable for the market, right? What are my costs and fees associated with selling the property, and how much am I going to leave the closing table with? It's pretty straightforward. And so with all the transition, all the conversation, all the dialogue, all the, there's all sorts of stuff I know out there in the media. I would just encourage people not to get distracted by all that. And if you're going to look for insider information, just go to reliable resources. If you want to read through the NAR settlement FAQs, they're easily accessible online. There's a number of them available that you can go through, and it has a description of each section of the agreement where you can review that. So just take the time to be informed. And that was really the motivation to have this conversation today, Tommy. We can open it up for questions. There wasn't a lot more. I think you have as a reference point, like we can pop up on the screen, the FAQs.
Let me pull that up here.
Realtors. This stuff is easily accessible. There's the NAR settlement FAQs. Okay. Can you go down to number 19, Tommy? Let's go to number 19.
Let me whistle down. There it is.
Yep. So number 19, if we expand on that, this is an important one to pay attention to. What MLS policies have changed? I would make sure that my listing process had a specific checklist that made 100% sure there was no margin for error in this, because as we've already pointed out, the fines and penalties are very severe if you do. Okay. The local boards also have NAR settlement FAQs as well as best practices. At least the one in Arizona does. The Arizona Regional MLS has been pretty clear in establishing a document for best practices. So we're grateful to have that resource available to us. But again, the ownership does not fall on your company or your industry or anyone else to take full responsibility for this. The ownership falls on each of us as individual agents, as professionals in our field, to be well informed. If there's anything that's unclear, we're uncertain about, to get absolute clarity on it. And whether we need to go to the brokerage or whether we need to go to our board to get absolute clarity on anything that we might perceive could be outside the lines or undefined as it relates to this, I would just encourage people to do it. And I think the people that are going to do it are really going to thrive, because one thing that is true about all shifts, about all transition, about all times of change in our history across the board is they create tremendous opportunity, and they create a need for leadership. And so the people that are proactive in communicating this, the people that are well informed and doing a good job of professional representation, aligning expectations, and following a documented process, they're going to win in a big way. And the people that don't do that are going to find it's going to be a difficult couple months ahead. It's going to be some tough rowing.
It's absolutely going to be bumpy. But these MLS, these are very, very clear. Boy, what a change in shift. I mean, there was very much we don't talk about this. And now we talk about it, but it can't be talked about here, or here.
Right.
And so there's a lot of, agents got to pick up their phones. I'm hearing so much, listing agent doesn't pick up their phone. Listing agent doesn't pick up her phone. The listing agent really has to pick up his phone. And there's going to have to be a serious dialogue. This is very, very interesting. This is quite this is a 180-degree shift, 180 degrees.
Yeah, it's definitely a dramatic shift. So again, we have to decide how much of our mind share, how much of our energy, how much we're going to let this influence our lives. Because as we all know, life is about 10% what happens to us or what occurs in the world, and 90% how we respond to it. And so my encouragement to everybody out there is block out a few hours do your own homework, be well prepared, revise your processes to make sure that you're compliant, and then go right back to the things that you were doing before, which was building relationships with people, identifying needs to add value and be of service, and then contribute to people with the highest level of integrity. It's the same thing that we've been doing all along.
Correct. Take good care of people. They're going to take good care of you, and high integrity. And that's it. And this is building a level of transparency that we've never had before. And that's the big deal here, the huge deal. Just be transparent, communicate with your buyers, your sellers. And, previously it was, I got a phone call. Hey, my buyer wants to see that house. Hey, I'll meet you over there. Now there has to be a step in front of it. Now you're going to have a meeting. It might be on the hood of your car. It may be in the front seat, or it may be at a coffee shop. You're going to have a discussion with some first-time home buyers. You're not going to be able to.
I think the key to that, Tommy, is whether it's awkward or not is largely dependent on how we position it and the conversation that we have. And so if you call me on a property like that, then I can ask you a few questions. Oh, what attracted you about that home, Tommy? Hey, it's great to connect with you today. Have you lived in the area a long time? Oh, really? Where are you relocating from rather? And we can have a dialogue and build some rapport just like we would. And then I might say, were you interested in setting up a time to tour the property? Yes, I am. Okay. Well, Tommy, I just want to make you aware, as you probably already know, there have been some pretty significant changes in the real estate industry recently. And so one of the requirements that I am professionally obligated to is to make sure that there's a clear understanding of how compensation in our industry works before I'm able to show you any properties. And so what I'd like to do is send you over a document to review together. I can send it to you now if you want to chat through it on the phone. I can send it over to you and call you back in 30 minutes. I can send it over to you to review, and you can text me with any questions about it. But personally, what I'd like to do is walk you through this document just to make sure you have a clear understanding about exactly what it entails and how this part of the process works. Does that sound okay with you?
That sounds great. That sounds really great. And we have to get good at our scripts. We're going to have to be good at the scripts. We're going to have to be good at those discussions back and forth. Mm-hmm. There's going to take some practice. This is going to take some practice. This is going to take some, there's going to be some buyers. Well, how do I, previously that money was, part of the marketing package of the listing. Is that money still there? How does this work? Do I have to come up with, 3% of the purchase price to, compensate you for your hard work? How does this all happen? And how do we make this work?
Right. Well, and those are all valid concerns. And, just for clarity's sake, there are 3 potential outcomes on that. 1, a buyer can agree to compensate you directly at closing. They're going to pay you a representation fee, whatever is negotiated between buyer and buyer agent. The second one is it can be written into a purchase agreement and requested as a seller concession to be credited at closing to offset all or part of the buyer agency fee. And the third one is the seller can make an agreement directly with the buyer's broker where the seller can agree to pay the buyer brokerage directly for bringing them a ready, willing, able, and well-qualified buyer to achieve the price that they want to achieve for their house.
Ready, willing, able, well-qualified.
Yeah. And that's part of the work that we're doing on the front end in representing buyers is we're making sure that we're bringing credible people to the table so that sellers aren't wasting their time, that they're not removing their house from the market, that we're not going to get close to the closing date and have somebody that flakes out. I mean, the buyer's agents are doing due diligence upfront and setting expectations and helping their buyer clients prepare in order to be ready to close on a home purchase.
Change is frightening. Change is really frightening, but being a change agent, helping people through this process, I think is a great place to be, but it all starts with the big C word, communication.
It does for sure. Yeah. And I think that's the most essential part of this. I don't know that I would subscribe to the positioning that this is a benefit for consumers. I think that there are some benefits, but I don't know that this is going to benefit all consumers. In fact, I think it could be a hindrance to the process for some. But I do think the benefit of this is that it brings absolute clarity around compensation, and it's going to require agents to be able to clearly articulate a value proposition and provide a genuine level of service to their clients. And you've been around the industry a long time. I have too. And we all know that just like with any industry, there's people that are great at their job and there's people that are kind of substandard. And so I think that this may be a good thing over time in elevating the standards of service that we see across the board in our industry. And so I think all those things are positive, not only for our clients, but also for our industry as a whole and the people that we get to work with every day.
And that's so true. That is so true. There's lots of positives here. There really is. In a year from now, we'll all be laughing. Now we're not laughing so much, but it's because of the change. It's because of now we have to have new scripts and new dialogues, and we don't have all the answers. We have questions. And as soon as we start doing it once or twice, oh, that was easy. That was easy. And as soon as we now have a backlog of our encyclopedia of questions and answers, then we can fall back. But this is all new. We're breaking some new ground here. We're having to use some new tools that we haven't had to use in a long time. And this is really going to allow great agents to be better. And I think this is an amazing, amazing opportunity for the industry as a whole.
Well, I do too. I totally agree with you. And I think that's the approach and the philosophy that we need to take. And I don't think change is as frightening when we're prepared for it. I think we're always resistant to it. I think it's our human nature because we get comfortable and sometimes complacent in what we're doing. But I think that this is a growth opportunity. This is an opportunity for us to elevate our skills. It's an opportunity for us to deepen our relationships with the clients that we serve. It's an opportunity for us to reframe our value proposition and honestly communicate it. You said the word communicate. I don't think most clients, buyers or sellers, but especially buyers, have any idea what a typical real estate agent does.
No idea.
To get
no idea the who. No idea. None.
And so this is going to create an opportunity and a forum for us to have that conversation and be able to spell that out for our clients, and they may perceive the value a little bit differently. I think that could be a positive thing.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who feel that real estate agents are just form filler outers. You're just plugging the information into the forms. Well, wait a minute. No, I have, 70, 80, 90, 100 plus hours of classroom training on this. I have, rights that, the only other person that can do this is a lawyer. I don't have full lawyer rights, but the only other person that can write contracts like this is a lawyer. And the ability we do a lot more than just plug information into boxes. A lot more.
That's so true, Tommy. Yeah, we sure do. And so this is an opportunity for us to articulate that with the clients that we serve and make them aware of what we do and demonstrate to them how we're going to serve them to the highest level in advocating for them and giving them fiduciary representation throughout the process.
Absolutely. Well, what a great discussion here. And I think the resources that you have here are phenomenal. The scripts, the FAQs, a lot of information has been shared here. And I think that it's only going to go to the benefit of our people who are watching, who want to learn and grow and embrace what's happening instead of put it in the rearview mirror. Because I promise you, you're going to get pulled over for speeding. And I saw some of those ticket prices, and those are not good ticket prices at all.
No, we want to avoid that. So we definitely want to avoid that.
They're not mixing those MLS. They are not going to pull any punches and boy, they're going to be throwing some good. Your MLS is going to be throwing some good parties based on the some of the fines, and people are going to fall into that, and they're going to want to plead mercy, and they're not going to get any mercy.
Yeah. So instead of being the example, choose to be exceptional. Choose to be exceptional at what you do. Choose to elevate your game. Choose excellence, and invest a little bit of time just to understand it, and then adopt your systems and processes accordingly. And I think that this is an opportunity for us to really elevate our perception in the consumer's mind as well, while increasing our level of proficiency and professionalism. And I think that it's going to be good moving forward after a little time of transition. So if we could be a resource, Tommy, I think as we wrap up, go to the Level Up Coaching Facebook group. We will post this there. I think we're streaming it there also. We'll post resources there on the Facebook page, so you have those for reference. If we can be of support to you in some way, reach out. Happy to consult with you individually on ideas that you have or specific questions. If it's questions, I prefer they go in the Facebook group, because then we can kind of share those with everyone, because chances are when any of us have a question, there's other people in the room that have the same one. So
absolutely. Well, Eric, this has been a treat. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. This is 2 weeks in a row, and I think we're probably not going to do 3 weeks in a row, but there's a lot more of this to come. I know there is, because people are asking for it, and I'm thankful to have you as a resource.
Well, thank you, Tommy. I appreciate it. We will revisit this too, because that's the other thing. It's ever evolving. Like, this is still changing. What it is today is probably different than what it's going to look like a month from now or 3 months from now. So as that happens, we'll do our best to keep people informed and talk about the topics that matter to people, and doing whatever we can to support you in your success.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Eric.
My pleasure.
Look forward to meeting with you again. I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay.